Thanks. When Vance talks about how he decided on his strategy for season 1, he says,
what I wanted to do going in was kind of define this game so that no one's played it before. Nobody really knows how it's going to work. Nobody knows how it's going to be played. And I wanted to define how you play it.
He selected a strategy used by contestants in the game show Survivor.
This island is full of only 2 things: snakes and rats.
And said that he would break ground in Fish Tank by using it to win the grand prize.
So you watch Survivor, somebody else down a couple years from now could be like, oh, I've seen Fish Tank season 1 and I know what Vance was doing, so I've seen this shit before.
How can Vance reuse knowledge from watching other social strategy games in a new game show? And if his strategy was supposed to work, why didn't it pay off? In actual fact, most long-running social strategy games are well studied, and the ability of contestants to win comes down to their ability to execute on a strategy they sometimes even choose by name.
Floaters, you better grab a life vest.
Vance was utilizing something often called the floater strategy, with a dose of no hyperbole or insult intended, the snake strategy. Big Brother in particular has run for long enough and has enough shared genetics with Fish Tank that every single named strategy in Big Brother has a useful application in Fish Tank. I think everyone who has watched Fish Tank must have heard of Big Brother, at least, but I'll quickly run down the basics. In a normal season of Big Brother, 12 to 18 contestants must remain in a surveilled house and not leave. They have no access to their phones or the internet.
I would never, when I'm at home, I'm like glued to my phone.
Isn't that crazy how that is? And then it could be over here and it's right.
Yeah.
And must tolerate aggravating living situations, like being made to eat gruel, or wearing stupid costumes, or having the smell of their shits raided.
Jared! Just hit a 10 on the stinkometer! Evacuate! I repeat, evacuate!
There are several major differences. The main one is that quitting is extremely rare on Big Brother. Only 5 people out of 850 contestants have ever voluntarily quit. 2 quit due to diagnosed mental issues.
I'm scared.
I'm getting scared that we're in a dream.
We're not in a dream.
No, listen to me.
1 allegedly had a family emergency, 1 got homesick, and 1 of them literally quit because he found out he had AIDS.
And finally he comes back, and he told me that I was HIV positive.
Expulsions are also rare, even though it's much easier to be removed from the Big Brother house.
Stay right there. Stay right there. Would you get mad if I cracked you over the head with this? Would you get mad if I killed you?
Well, we were in the cheese room.
Chicken nugget?
Dude. Anyways, we were in the cheese room.
Sorry, you gotta go to bed, Luke.
Yikes.
Big Brother also runs for 3 whole months, with no text-to-speech system to offer information from outside. There was a famous incident in 2020 where the production for some international versions of Big Brother had to decide whether to tell their cast about COVID or not, because they didn't know if it was a news item that would pass before they needed to know.
The number of confirmed cases in Australia has risen to over 1,000.
Wow.
1,000!
California and New York are in complete lockdown.
Wow.
In every elimination cycle in Big Brother, a challenge is run to determine which player will become the head of household. The head of household nominates 2 contestants, from whom the other contestants must decide who will be eliminated. Apart from contestants avoiding nomination altogether by winning challenges, eliminations are strictly based on voting. So social strategy is much more crucial. Just to give you an idea, let's say the original cell was a head of household competition, and put the whole 3-way deal Vance made out of our minds for a second. Vance has 2 good likely options after winning head of household. He either nominates Letty and John because he wants both of them gone equally badly, or he nominates Josie and John to guarantee his intended outcome. That's a typical Big Brother elimination cycle. The social game is a lot softer in Fish Tank. It gets tangled up in daily survival because there's essentially no voting, and quitting is a greater threat. Having a strong, stable ally with helpful intentions, like Brian, for example, might be more valuable to the contestants to get them through their own personal trials than voting him out to get rid of strong competition. Instead, the social game tends to pay off in avoiding being sabotaged during challenges, being fucked with during the day, and wearing each other down. Allies can't protect each other in votes, but they can watch each other's backs and share resources and information.
Everyone's saying some bad shit's happening today. I think you and me might know what that means.
Yeah, I think,
The doctor's coming.
Yeah.
Do you know who he is or something?
Yeah, I do.
You know who he is?
Yeah.
Who is he?
He's just a guy. He's a comedian.
Is his name just Frank, or does he have a last name?
Maybe ask him yourself.
Having no allies can be just as dangerous in Fish Tank as it is in Big Brother, but still, it's not a guaranteed eviction. Even though the social game in Fish Tank is more subtle, the strategies the fish are using are still pretty obvious and very easy to match to analogous strategies found in Big Brother. It's important to note that intent matters more than execution for our purposes. A contestant who goes into the show intending to fly under the radar but attracts far too much attention, for example, is trying an under-the-radar strategy, but executing it badly.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just staying in my own lane. I don't care to get tied into any conflict.
So, if it's interesting to you, like it was interesting to me, I'll go down the list of named social strategies used on Big Brother. I'll be covering the coaster, whose game plan is to have no game plan. The leader, who tanks for other players in return for allegiance. The collaborator, who hides in a herd while others are picked off. The loudmouth, who weaponizes stress. The floater, who makes many alliances while prioritizing only themselves. And the gamer, who tries to be the answer to the question, who deserves to win? There's a couple strategies I consider to be subcategories. A snake is an aggressive floater who manipulates others into fighting while staying out of the conflict themselves. Under the radar, players coast on purpose to look non-threatening. I'm not going to get in depth with these, but you'll probably see marks of them as we go along. None of them were named by me, so if you think the names are cringe, go back in time 24 fucking years and change them. A coaster basically ignores the social game completely. They may be invited into an alliance and accept for no particular reason. They don't plan ahead and never make moves to give allies an advantage or enemies a disadvantage.
Now that I don't have any allies, I have to look out for myself. I have to win it for me. It's kind of like I'm just winging it.
This is typically considered a pejorative, as very few contestants who are considered coasters have ever won Big Brother.
Never would have thought in a million years I would have made it in the final two, ever.
In your words, what does it take to win Big Brother?
Oh, gosh. Honestly, I don't know, because I didn't really know what I was doing half the time I got it.
The best example of this is, without a doubt, Josie. So from the start, there is a difference with how Big Brother and Fish Tank play out. Josie rarely, if ever, made strategic moves. On day 4, Damiel took her aside and made her the third member, after Vance, of what would eventually become Team Evil.
Yeah, this challenge is getting me all fucking tight right now. I was wondering if you want to join a little secret alliance, because these guys, they're totally against me. I know. I already know.
I don't think it's I already had my choice.
Yeah, so we'll let each other know certain things, like, secretly. Like, we don't have to make it obvious. All odds are against us, so you know what I'm saying? These guys are just like...
I mean, it's a little fun to play along sometimes.
If you want to do this, I mean, it's on you, but I'll let you know on certain things too.
Okay.
On day 6, after Vance invited Sylvia in, the full alliance met for the first time. Josie said maybe 3 sentences in the 20 minutes they spent talking. The alliance was founded on the idea of sharing information and helping one another, which rapidly devolved into the 4 fish sitting in a circle saying, "She doesn't clean, bro," anytime Letty wasn't around. But where Sylvia and Vance backed each other up as contingency plans, and Damiel was something of a figurehead and attack dog, Josie was inert. They never demanded help from her, so she never gave it. The only deliberate contribution I can remember was her defending Damiel after he threw Letty's stuff in the porta potty.
Shit, I didn't know that he took Daniel's shoes.
But I told you he took stuff from you saw him take my stuff, so why did you believe him when he said he didn't take it? I don't think that.
Because he was talking to me and I didn't think that he was lying to me. That's literally it. Like Jet said, and
we've known him for like
that
2
he said no.
days. You've known us for like 20 days, man.
Okay, well, good for you, Josie, that you wouldn't have believed him.
Other than that, Team Evil may as well have been a secret conspiracy that she had no knowledge of, plotting to help her win without her finding out. It could have been a deliberate choice. Once she knew that she had audience popularity, she didn't have much motivation to play the game, and certainly nobody in the tank was pressuring her to get in the mix.
Messy couch, high purple hat / drum stuff, steal the let's go bit, say Nance's born, Letty, make sure no one helps her, make Chris make jokes, bring up poop and act really disgusted, fake poop in bed, ignore her.
Alright, yeah, that sounds good.
Given how Vance to this day still seems to think that if he could do it all over again, his path to victory would still involve carrying Josie to the final 2.
It has to be me or Letty, which means it has to be Letty leaving.
Her victory was something of a gift from the cast. I'll be using Vance as a minor example for lots of strategies throughout this essay for a reason. I don't think he knows these strategies by meta names, but he knew their functions. He was a floater throughout, but was self-aware about his social strategy in a way few others were, and occasionally tinkered with other roles. His flexibility should be a strategy that spans all strategies, and should make him way more formidable. Unfortunately for Vance, most people's least fond memory of him was the time spanning roughly between when Damiel was eliminated and when Vance failed the walking challenge, where he had decided, out loud, that he would imitate Josie and play under the radar. Hiding is just coasting unless some kind of play eventually happens, and in Vance's case, it never happened. There was a tipping point at about day 25 or so where he literally ran out of ideas and had nothing to contribute anymore, and was arguing with the audience about how he needed to be boring to win and that the audience didn't understand reality shows.
Literally, I've had a strategy since day 1. I've been implementing it. It's been working. It has not failed me yet. It's to lay low, stay middle of the road. Don't make, literally be friendly with everybody, but don't be too close to anybody. It might be boring, I get that, but like, at the end of the day, what am I here for? I'm here, like, I'd love to entertain, but now it's to the point where it's like, if I can't, no, I shouldn't say that. I'd love to keep entertaining. Most of the people watching this, it might be your first experience seeing a show like this.
What do you know about mental disabilities? Like, I know you said you didn't meet a black person until you were 13. Are you good? Yeah, are you? Yeah.
It might be your first experience seeing a show like this, and you want the drama, you want the constant antics, but that's not how you like a Josie. I don't know if it's necessarily her strategy, but it's how she's been playing it, and it's worked for her. It's worked beautifully for her.
An argument can be made that Fishtank comes down too hard on people for being interesting, but deliberately choosing the other end of the spectrum and being boring on purpose is not a workable strategy either. Mauro was also mostly a coaster. I get the feeling he probably would have made a motion to ally with Letty
Evil gang, evil gang, evil gang.
if he had any idea that Team Evil was forming, but he spent so much time isolated and sleeping that he let the opportunity to make alliances slip away and then quit. Gay.
We get back to Haven in a few hours'
Oh
time.
yeah, hiding under the shepherd's skirts, that's a manful scheme.
You want to run this ship?
Yes.
Well, you can't.
Leader is a strategy with obvious meaning. A leader creates an alliance out of other fish to control the house and uses his allies to eliminate those not in his alliance. I think a lot of the time, as Sam said during Season 2, competitors are inclined to turn guys, especially tall ones, into the leader. It's important to note that out of all the strategies, leader is the riskiest. An alliance is a great way to skip past the early eliminations, but the most dominant player in an alliance is the most obvious target for anyone outside of it. Fortunate or skilled leaders will be able to hoard rewards gathered by their teammates in the form of immunities, chips, or whatever else to protect themselves from elimination. Bad leaders just get assassinated.
Bo gets in these moods where he feels like he wants to get affectionate.
Ow!
He can't seem to get away from me.
Brian has been the clearest and most successful example of a leader so far. Brian had Trisha, Jimmy, and at times TJ inside his posse, as well as the general cooperation of Shinji and Taylor when it suited them. He deliberately focused his alliance on Cole, who he saw as a threat, then rotated towards TJ and Shinji until Brian himself was eliminated. Considering he lost due to unpopularity outside the tank, it's hard to say he executed his strategy in the house badly at all. Rather, he may have been too good at it. As I said before, Brian's aggression rotated, but it's really more like he was repeatedly deterred from targeting TJ for elimination, despite history showing that to be the right move. After Cole, he started to target Taylor because she was sick, but pivoted to TJ for being popular without being interesting.
I have a tough task with Taylor right now. I have to get her chips, but she keeps them in a sock, and that's like, she wears them on her feet, under her feet all day. It's tough to get to.
I think TJ thinks that you're his buddy.
I mean, I like him.
I like him too.
He's a contestant, you know.
I think you gotta do something to shatter that notion.
Okay.
And I don't want to see TJ go. I want to see if you have what it takes to do something twisted to somebody.
Okay.
After he stole TJ's chips the first time, he faltered and returned them, believing he needed TJ as an ally more. When he was taken into the attic, he decided that the symbolic visit confirmed his theory that production wanted him to eliminate boring fish, seeing the show as an audition. This directed him to target TJ once again.
You gotta man the fuck up. Like this rocking, being nervous shit, this is not gonna fucking work for you. You're not Josie, man.
He also searched for Shinji's chips when there was an opportunity, but the judge told him not to go for Shinji.
Shinji's an actor too. You don't need to worry about him. Fans like him, so if we, fuck with him or shit on him or something, it's gonna,
yeah, they're gonna
up in arms.
Be a bunch of faggots about it, you know?
So he suggested targeting Jimmy because it would be dramatic for the show and not because he actually wanted to do it. Production said no.
I mean, like plot-wise, I mean, I feel like it would be good if I went against Jimmy. Like
up against Jimmy?
Like, I feel like plot-wise that would be good because we've gotten along. We're both, I feel like, strong competitors.
Yeah. I think the thing about Jimmy is that he drives a lot of content.
Yeah.
And if we get rid of him prematurely, I think that's a mistake.
Okay.
So they compromised and settled on Taylor.
I mean, the only one who's really not doing dick around here is Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, she sleeps a lot or she just, like, crochets and, like, she's a nice girl, but, like...
Yeah.
But that's also kind of, like, easy for me. Unless like, the challenge is crocheting, I feel like that's just easy.
Yeah, for sure. No, she's a sweet girl, but, yeah, she's good to go. I think we can just give her the boot soon.
Yeah.
Then, because TJ believed Brian was an actor, and because Taylor had immunity from the swamp triathlon, he went back to targeting TJ. Then Brian got kicked, even though it's sort of gray whether Brian still had immunity at this point, or whatever. Rules. I think I have enough room to say that, speaking critically, it seemed production was afraid he would find a way to snuff someone popular but couldn't figure out which of their toys they were willing to give up and capped him for the time he spent spinning his wheels as a result. I'll be rating Fish on how they execute their strategies, but in Brian's case, I don't have much to say about his own role and how things went.
Like, what happens when you fucking disobey in here? Like, I get it. Like, if they give you something and you can't fucking pull it off, then you don't get the fucking reward. But, like, what happens if you're just like, no? Are they gonna be like, then get the fuck off the show if you're not gonna play? Or are they gonna be like, oh, you disloyal fuck? Like, I feel like it wasn't like part of the thing where they're like, oh, be friends with everybody, be loyal to everybody, and then you all win. Like, there's only one winner. Like, do I get eliminated if I fail? God damn.
John tried to be a leader, but he was terrible. He has said, since the show, that his intention was to gather together the weaker minds, yes, weaker minds than John's, to support himself. Simmons was the original member of Team John, who entered as his butt boy. John literally shouted at Simmons like a dog until Simmons decided being shouted at by John wasn't as bad as being shouted at by Damiel and chose a side. Obviously, there were other possible things that may have attracted him to that alliance. Morrow was not clearly invited into Team John, although without an invitation to Team Evil, he would have had nowhere else to turn. Letty tried to hide in Team John, in John's obnoxious shadow, and in fear of the clear alliance that had formed against them both. John decided that meant she was using him, and not just following him like he intended.
Wait, what?
And chased her off. This caused a great deal of needless drama for Letty in the days before John was eliminated, because, as she had rightly deduced, Vance was openly hoping to eliminate them both. John was fucking her over by doing the heavy lifting for Vance, insisting that her attempts to teach him self-preservation were seduction. In his final days, John insisted that he was done scheming and didn't care about strategy anymore, and essentially quit, which obviously upset Letty because her only ally was throwing the game for her opponents. John, outside of being overbearing and rude, never managed to be any kind of leader at all, and simply trashed his whole strategy at the first hint of approval from the boys. Cole fits into the leader category, but also had terrible execution. He seemed to enter the game thinking solely of playing out his role as the infiltrator, and without it, he had nothing else. He wanted to have JC in his gang, which she seemed to permit simply because nobody else was as interested in her as an ally as he was. I could be wrong, I've searched the archives to check, but I'm 90% sure TJ gives Cole this pep talk I'm about to play, unprompted, on day 6. For a man with no allies, this should have been a beautiful gift. But watch the communication problem.
I think everyone, I want to, and everyone, and I'm sure everyone here, the Cole train especially, I think, even if, I don't know, like, I don't really...
I'll say this, I'm doing a lot better today. Like, I think it's a new day, it's a clean slate.
Yeah.
You know?
But I just want you to keep in mind that you still sacrifice stuff to be here. And you're already here. So you might as well, like, try your very best, which I already know that you're doing that, but I just want you to keep in mind that just keep headstrong, do what you gotta do. It's all a game. Like, at the end of the day, well, no one's gonna be that upset that some people are better at the game than others.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just do your best and have fun.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be right now. I'll sit and think for a minute.
Alright, cool.
Yeah. I don't know why they asked him to give me a pep talk. Now since I'm feeling a lot better, I'm gonna I'll take your advice. I'll turn up the asshole knob. I'll turn it to an 11. And I might go down there, I might offer Jimmy a job. Say, listen, Jimmy, I'll offer him a job. You know, I'm the kulak of the house. These peasantry, the working class, the plebeians, they need to be corralled and brought in. So Yeah.
This just can't work socially. TJ couldn't have been much clearer about his intentions, but Cole, much like John, takes this friendly overture from a supposed ally as an attack. The communication problem was severe. Much like John, he seemed to think that he could simply subjugate the two quieter men through force of will rather than, asking them directly. He peeled Meg off the ground and pocketed her for a day when she was starting to lose her patience with Brian and Jimmy. The day before his elimination, he had amassed a huge number of chips by inheriting JC's and was ready to start buying the loyalty of TJ or Shinji if it interested him. But after they both publicly announced their total disinterest in allying with him, it killed his burgeoning notion of being their leader. He could have switched tactics after seeing he would be going it alone. It's not necessary to have allies if you don't need them. But between not being special, not getting to be a leader, saying he wasn't in it to win, and thus repeatedly threatening to quit, it doesn't really matter whether he was kicked out or walked out himself. As a social strategy, it was a deliberate L. Simmons may be the last person you would think of putting into the category of leader, but it clearly was how he saw himself.
Stand together in a circle.
Yeah, what's going on?
We're gonna stand in a circle. I'm not gonna reveal anything until we're all standing in a circle. Okay?
Bro, I got woken up with this.
Yeah.
Do we have to hold hands? Oh no.
I'm not gonna reveal everybody is in position. Everybody's in a circle. Yeah.
On day one, he was creating itineraries, trying to lead activities, and attempting to teach the fish things. Obviously, everyone hated him for it because he's fucking annoying, though. Simmons running an improv class during the first few days of the tank is kind of keno, actually, considering improv would go on to be about as important in Season 1 as boxing was in Season 2.
Do you know what's your line?
I want to be rich.
Sign me up.
Yeah, then sign me up.
Okay, perfect. So Motto, your line is...
So I can improv it, though.
You can't...
You said I can improv.
You can't improv the style.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Don't ask stuff. Don't ask stuff.
Simmons' drive would be admirable in someone who isn't as naturally annoying and sexually suspicious as he is. Unfortunately for him, coming up with stupid activities and ordering people around isn't enough to execute a leader strategy, among other obvious reasons why he failed. When he finally understood his attempts at leadership were unwelcome, Simmons spent the majority of his run in service to John, trying to lead him, but mostly supporting and advising him. This helpful behavior is more common in the role of the next social strategy on the list. The Collaborator is a very common, easy-to-understand strategy. Any player that focuses entirely on forming and maintaining a stable defensive alliance is a Collaborator. Collaborators are unique from other players in alliances because their primary goal is to join one strong alliance, let it take everyone else out, and not appear important enough within the alliance that they become a target like leaders do. Sylvia is the original Collaborator. To her, Vance, not Damiel, was the leader of Team Evil, and she planned to work with him to get all the way to the end.
What's the plan?
I have no idea.
Because Team Evil's final target, after eliminating all other non-allied contestants, was Letty.
Nobody's leaving this room until we know who stole the Bible.
Nobody cares if you fucking took your
No one's leaving the room until I know who took the Bible.
I want him to read it to me.
Sylvia expected the assistance of both Vance and Josie in finishing the job after Damiel quit. Unfortunately for Sylvia, she was the only one willing to stick her neck out for Team Evil at this point. Josie was never going to do anything. Vance talked a huge game about pushing Letty out, but it was both his strategy and his personality that he couldn't make a real enemy out of Letty and couldn't follow through on the stories he would tell his allies.
Trying to think of trying to plot some revenge. She dumped the piss on my bed. Vile woman. I mean, I could fight fire with fire.
I thought you were just gonna get her the fuck out of here. He hates her.
I think we should get the fuck out of here. Fight fire with fire. You can sit back if you want. I think I can. I had this shit in the bag in my hand.
I've given you everything you've asked for.
I should have put it in her shit. Yeah, we have to hit where it hurts. Where does it hurt the most? Or...
You can't do the same thing.
Why not? You don't piss on my bed twice. I think I can do that.
Pour piss on her when she sleeps.
Maybe.
Seeing Vance continue to play both sides and pull his punches this late in the game, and Josie's complete uselessness, would signal to a more flexible collaborator that it's time to jump ship. Unfortunately, by the time that sunk in, it was probably too late.
Where's your bed?
In his room. Go in there and see, bro. Room 4. He's fucking laying on it. You wanna come up with me, man? I don't think you would.
Shinji is the most dedicated collaborator. Shinji allied with Jimmy permanently on day 2 of Season 2. In many social strategy games, an early 2-person alliance is called picking a goat, or a ride or die. The point of having a goat is to establish a completely trusting relationship with another contestant that is untainted by feeling conditional or situational. Having someone who will never ever betray you in a social strategy game is a killer advantage. Obviously, goats still betray each other all the time, though. Vance and Damiel formed something like this on the first night as well, although, as with most alliances in Season 1, this didn't develop much, and mostly resolved in them not fucking with each other, making catty comments about people behind their backs, and not much else. Shinji and Jimmy's alliance seemed to be much deeper, although with Season 2 being an overall tougher experience, there were many more opportunities for them to lean on each other. Jimmy warded, warned, and threatened Brian away from targeting Shinji. When Shinji was worried about making rent, Jimmy offered direct, sincere moral support and assistance. When Cole stole Shinji's glasses, Jimmy was the one to find them. When Jimmy was trying to calm down or drunk, Shinji was there to help him.
Is it you don't want this? No.
Shinji also said that the only way he could tell he was funny was because Jimmy would laugh, and no one else would. I don't think it's a coincidence that after Jimmy disqualified himself, Shinji began to say, "I can't be funny anymore," and lost a lot of steam.
I gotta make some more gags or jokes.
Hell yeah, man, no, it's really good to see you again.
Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't be making my jokes more.
Similarly, when Damiel quit, Vance began to say that he no longer had someone who he could talk to on a real level, which made living in the tank much more difficult for him. Without Jimmy, Shinji and Taylor formed an informal alliance against Trish. Shinji remained wary of Taylor's simps, though, and refused to commit to it fully. This was probably an overcorrection. TJ and Taylor both needed him as a spoiler to get an advantage, so he would likely have been at least in second place no matter who he chose. Given TJ and Taylor would not ally with one another, Shinji was in a very powerful position to leverage himself into the lead. Instead of playing it smart, though, TJ, production, and the freeloaders who were salty with Taylor encouraged his tendency to moral fag, and he wasted his point deductions on Taylor out of pointless, directionless salt, effectively becoming a stooge for TJ to win. TJ is not a clever collaborator. I'll venture to say his attraction to this dependent strategy is completely betrayed by his personality. The sticking point for all fish tank collaborators is that, unlike Big Brother, collaboration is more than promising a vote. It's being a pillar of the team. Anyone can join a so-called alliance, but an alliance's rewards only go to the deserving. TJ's alliance with Brian, and with Taylor, and with Trish all came to the same stopping point. TJ getting shouted at for contributing nothing. Brian told TJ his head wasn't in the game and that he hadn't paid back the favor Brian had paid him by returning his chips, and began to buck the addict's directives to stop targeting TJ until he was kicked.
I mean, look, I really ain't got much going on.
Alright, well, you want to have something going on?
Maybe, it depends.
Okay. How would you feel if TJ left?
Comfortable.
You want to help me get his chips? Because last night, man, he punched a fucking wall saying this is not the good guy show. You know what I mean? So, You want to be shitty guys for a little bit? And if he's going to be this pussy blind in here, that's a liability to all of us. Deal? Deal.
For a long stretch of time, TJ failed to maintain his alliance with Taylor, as Jimmy was simply doing a better job watching her back and following up with her. When Jimmy was gone, Taylor must have looked TJ up and down and thought, "What good are you?" Her assumption that TJ was going to fuck with her may have been wrong, but her suspicion was rooted in, once again, his failure to be an ally.
What did I tell you?
They told me to destroy your stuff. They didn't like me.
I did like him until he started plotting against me. You're plotting against me, and I know you are.
Oh.
You just magically went and slept in the other room, magically didn't say shit. You were up talking all night. I'm not stupid. You walked into B3 when I was standing there, and when you walked in there, none of your stuff was in there. You were walking in there to see if my shit was in there.
My stuff was in the other room because during the the thing where
TJ, be honest with yourself here.
You're
a bad liar. You're a bad liar.
I am a bad liar, but I'm being honest right now.
I can see right through that, man.
I'm being honest right now.
Like, I was trying to be neutral here. I really was. I really was. No, TJ, I really was trying to be neutral here. But it's turned into this. And I wasn't ganging up with him either. He just kept running his mouth, and I was sitting there.
They're hiding?
Huh?
They're hiding?
Yeah.
How so?
You're bad at lying. You made that really obvious when you walked into my room.
Hey, I'm just awkward.
Trish and TJ were a couple set up by Jet.
Even if you guys were socially capable enough to form alliances, this is the time where they'd be breaking up. There's 4 people left. So, you can make alliances, and you should try. But, I mean, we're reaching the end of the road here. So even if you had them, what value would they be if people were going back on them? And if you were to have an alliance, who would it be with? Probably Taylor?
Probably not. I don't know if she would probably be the most loyal.
Pausing for a second. This goes back to what I said about picking a goat. Trying to find a loyal teammate on day 27 is stupid, because everyone knows they're being used at that point.
And I went,
And who would you pick? Trish?
Yeah, probably Trish.
Good. Try it. What do you have to lose? How do you feel about alliances? How do you feel about teaming up with one of these 3 people? Or do you think they're all rejecting you?
I honestly don't see how it would work.
Here you need to pull TJ aside alone. He's looking for allies.
Yeah, I was bordering on deciding if I wanted to tell you that, because that was said to me in a private session, but it is true. And he said specifically he wanted to talk to you.
She demanded TJ's assistance while Frank was in the house. Then she shouted him down for gawking and vanishing into the wallpaper whenever she needed help.
TJ, come here.
Yeah.
Since everyone knows that we're alliance, I just feel like we need just to talk about this.
Okay.
Am I overreacting? I was hanging around the bar. Or is he overreacting?
I think you're in the right. I mean, he's not even, with Shinji and Taylor right now.
I know, because he's fucking bothered on me. But I just need to know, are you just going to sit there and watch? Bro.
Alright, I'll say something. I don't know.
It would just also look good on you if you did something too. For viewership.
Alright. I'll speak that more.
Ring the bell and fuck him up.
That's off script. But, I'll defend you more. I'm sorry.
Even at the very end, his head wasn't really in the social game, as he was still surprised to find that despite the brotherhood, Shinji had been putting curses on him, even though they didn't subtract enough to make a difference. Jet described TJ as being a victim of the social game dogpile, but I have a different theory. Considering Tay was the first fish to be eliminated through an actual challenge this season, The fish likely saw it as much more important to keep supportive, loyal allies who would help them survive the mental game, like a Brian type of guy, or a Vance, Tay, or even a Jimmy. It would be less important to eliminate that type of person for being too strong. On the flip side, the fish would naturally target those who would not be supportive, like TJ or Cole. On the subject of mental game, the final two both made basement visits to ask to leave the show because they lacked allies, because TJ had lost the support of Brian, and because Shinji needed to steal from Tay and didn't have Jimmy around to walk him through it like he did earlier in the season. TJ ultimately beat everyone in the end in challenges to win the grand prize, and challenge aptitude is an entirely separate essay. There's lots more I could say about Shinji and challenges too, but I could talk forever. Anyway, the reason every fish seemed to want TJ out so aggressively and not someone more competitive and threatening was, I think, because they feared landing in the position Trish eventually landed in, where TJ was her only ally, which made her whole game go to hell. Trisha is a collaborator, and very similar to TJ. TJ seemed to function all right as long as he had someone who he believed was supporting him. Trish always seemed to need a leader fish to give her support, or else she would refuse to move. Just before Brian was eliminated, he admitted that, just like TJ, Trish was hiding in the alliance without adding much. As I said when I was talking about coasters, making content and playing aggressively always seems to be met with punishment from production rather than rewarded, so maybe hiding was a good idea for her, but it's hard to applaud it or give some kind of day-by-day breakdown of the careful strategy involved in sitting in bed doodling. She started out fairly confident and able to fuck with the others without direction, which set her apart from the coasters, but also got her into more trouble than she was willing to put up with.
Sam, come in here.
I'm injured.
Sam, get in here.
I'm injured.
No, get in here.
I gotta
go. You stupid. Oh my God.
I gotta go to my other reality show that
Sam!
I gotta go to my other
here!
show. I can't.
Realizing that attracting attention caused problems, she slowly became dependent on others to tell her what to do. Brian advised her until he was eliminated, then she let Brittany take over. Then without Brittany, she needed Frank. Without Frank, she spent a whole day doing whatever the TTS told her to do.
Trish, is that you in the corner? Wake the fuck up and make content. Trish, make content. Prove to them your content, not non-tent. You are being lazy, Trish. Make content today. Viewership is down because everyone says you do nothing. Do something crazy for content. What the fuck was that? Stop being shy. How are you gonna win this if you're shy? In 5 years, would you regret sleeping and being boring all day?
I was not sleeping all day, bitch. You're over-exaggerating now. I'm just trying to think of what the fuck to do.
Hold the honk in Taylor's face. There is no rules against it. Fuck with that hoe.
Gotta get out of bed, Taylor.
Do it for longer. When you do something crazy, don't just do it for 2 seconds. You have to talk to the camera more often and respond to their TTS. Do you like cereal?
Yeah, I like cereal.
That was a good start. Give the viewers reasons to like you.
Okay, of course.
Anytime someone gets mad at you, stare at your feet. It shows dominance. Don't listen to that TTS.
Okay.
Clean up after people, especially when they're mad at you.
Okay.
Can you force yourself to go crazy and keep going crazy for longer?
Okay.
Speak softly when you want to be assertive. Being loud just makes you sound crazy.
Okay.
Snake, remember the basics of CQC.
Okay. It's annoying, but you have to constantly remind yourself you're on a show.
I'm on a show.
Alright, write down everything I say. Always be doing something. An idle moment is a moment you are losing endorsements. Speak louder and stop being shy. Act like the boss nigga. If you find something hard to do, become a different person in that moment. Force yourself split personality disorder. Break at least 3 things a day. Break shit more often. That's all my advice for today. If you fail, I'll give you more advice tomorrow. You can leave the room now.
I know.
When she stopped getting advice from TTS, she allied with TJ, who couldn't direct or support her, and went into limp home mode. Meg, something of a footnote, was also a collaborator. Although she wasn't invited to an alliance until the very end of her run, I think she had the potential to be something self-directed, other than a collaborator, but she was the smallest, quietest personality and was too easily subjugated.
You stopped using heroin and you got really fat?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Damn. Maybe get back on that.
As
far as strategy goes, you gotta have something better than just scaring people.
The Loudmouth is a fun one. There has only been sort of two of them so far. The Loudmouth gains an advantage by threatening and intimidating other contestants, and also may aim to be underestimated by seeming to make a lot of enemies. Before I get into the topic, to help clarify what this strategy entails, I want to introduce someone to you.
Stay away from Abel before the competition because he'll try to mentally.
Good morning, Eric. How are you, you lying sack? Cigars, cigarettes, cocktails.
He knows.
I know tweakers. How come you didn't lose the weight?
You might remember Big Brother contestant Evil Dick from the start of this video.
They invited me and my daughter back for Big Brother 13, and I left after 6 days. When you go on Big Brother, they give you drug tests, psych eval, so on and so forth, all of this other bull. And it came back that I was HIV positive.
Someone in this house has AIDS.
Evil Dick Donato is the Loudmouth of all Loudmouths.
The life of your daughter, I am going to make you so miserable every day that you're going to regret ever seeing me.
It may surprise you that he won his first season on the show.
Dick, you have personally slandered every member of this jury at one time or another.
Congratulations, Dick. You are the winner of Big Brother 8.
He had an extremely short temper, something that would be easy to exploit on Fishtank. But in the NPR-ish mundanity of Big Brother, it served to scare the other contestants into submission.
I hope you know that you're pissing off every single person in this house. Every single person in this house.
So, oh my God, I'm just so burnt out by him, period.
You're gonna keep harassing everybody? Gosh, it's brutal.
Should be. You lied, and so
Yeah,
did
okay.
I'm going to rattle people from now until the end. Getting in their heads is all part of the game. It's part of any game. Is it going to mess with them during the competition? Yeah, they're going to be thinking about it.
And deflected attention from his allies.
They will want me out because they're the good people.
His strategy also played into production and the audience giving him a hand when possible, because he was providing something by being such an asshole. Keep that mechanic in mind. It's a surprise tool that will help us later.
Shadow points.
Even in comparison to the leader strategy, I think to play a Loudmouth, you have to be born a Loudmouth. You'll find Evil is a long-lost brother of two of our two-ish, one-ish Fishtank Loudmouths.
I'm locked in a room with someone, I can't stand the chick. Listening to her is like nails on a chalkboard. I want a cigarette.
I'll tell you want a cigarette.
No, I don't need to say sorry. I don't need to say sorry!
In real life, if you would have done that to me, I would have mowed you down like 10 pins in a bowling ball.
You think I'm playing? You think I'm playing? God, you so lucky you a girl, I would fucking strangle you. I'm gonna really fuck this shit up. I'm not fucking playing.
I am not stating that I want one or the other to happen. I am playing for either of them to go home.
Damiel was the first Loudmouth. It doesn't particularly matter that he was the plant, as the Loudmouth is a real strategy that real contestants sometimes use anyway. His main mode was to hang out on the couch and roast people, shit without flushing, and single people out. Even during the rice challenge, he was putting on a show of having anger issues.
Fuck! Open your fucking eyes! I can't fucking see shit.
Simmons repeatedly commented that he thought Damiel was unstable and scary, and even tried to be patronizing towards Damiel at times for being so aggressive. John was easily upset by Damiel, and they argued often. until Damiel decided to target Letty instead. Damiel increasingly considered quitting as the conditions in the house got worse, and Letty increasingly did not respond to his antagonization.
Everybody fucking losing, that's why they want you out, bro. How am I losing? I'm still in here.
You are losing. You're literally losing this conversation. Look how many people behind this fucking wall. It's you. You're losing, bro. Damn, you're embarrassing yourself. Fuck. Damn.
He escalated to the point he went too far, by Season 1 standards at least, with him threatening to attack her while she was asleep, and later threatening to choke her for stealing his shoes before throwing her belongings in the porta potty. Had he been a contestant, he might have stayed, but since he wasn't eligible for the grand prize anyway, it probably seemed like a logical stopping point. I did say there were only sort of 1 or 2 loudmouths. I don't think most people who get into a reality show and become loudmouths do it on purpose, and if they do, they often don't admit it. Damiel, being a plant, makes his strategy irrelevant, and he was also something of a leader, while still doing more loudmouth work than leading. The other loudmouth clearly was one too, but rejected it, claiming to be playing a different strategy as well. Jimmy is still a really good example of a loudmouth, and also a useful example for the strategy he meant to use, at least compared to evaluating Damiel as a leader. So I'll evaluate his intended strategy later when it comes up and get right into the comparison montage.
There's a girl that I dated that lived like up in the hills, and Madonna and Richard Gere lived on their street, and they used to have these big barbecues like every Sunday. So there's all these hot models like in the pool and stuff.
They're more than happy to make Chernobyl and other dangerous places in Russia a tourist site. The fact that they completely sealed up that hole before saying like, yeah, you know, you can just fucking chill and just look the fucking... It looks like one of those sewer standpipes that, you know, like has the bolts on it. It's like that, but it's also welded shut. That just tells you that they did find something that made them actually fucking scared, which is tough to do.
I feel like I've never walked into a group of people and had so many people, like, not like me immediately.
Everyone else thinks you're the infiltrator, though. Okay?
Oh, yeah. Everyone thinks I'm the infiltrator after you brought him aside and said, hey, guys, I think I know who the infiltrator is.
You don't even realize it because you're such an inconsiderate bitch. Okay?
No, like I
pull your head out of your ass and start looking at other people beside yourself.
Maybe you didn't hear it,
okay?
But
blah, blah, blah. Shut up and listen for a minute.
I just did.
I don't know if you're trying to stir the pot or something.
Sakes, Cole, I am on break in 15 minutes.
I'm putting my foot down and saying what you're saying is bullshit.
It ain't bullshit, it's the truth.
It's not the truth.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Only way to settle this, Jimmy and Cole need to kiss.
The similarities are frankly a little uncanny. I'll keep the summary brief, but during Dick Donato's time in the Big Brother house, he followed a very similar arc to Jimmy's.
Evil completely confuses me because the exterior doesn't match his interior. His personality is softer and he's more sensitive.
I don't intentionally do things to hurt people. I'm an idiot. I do that by mistake. I do that just being who I am. And I am a good person.
Yeah. I hate to get mad, man. I really fucking do. I fucking hate being like this. It's the only way I know how to survive.
I'm so sorry for letting you all down.
Letting us down?
I don't mean that. You guys took a big mistake here, not just listening to that. Sorry, you guys too.
He even had a rivalry with another housemate end in a similar extreme.
I'm sorry, but this is just my viewpoint and my opinion. You're not a very good player.
Why'd you do that, though?
Because you're a bad chess player.
Jen Johnson fucking hated Dick and knew Dick was gonna have her voted out, so she destroyed all his cigarettes. This began, by Big Brother standards, a knife fight to the death that could have ended with Dick leaving the same way Jimmy did if tensions on Big Brother ever escalated above like a 2 out of 10.
Touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
I'm eating.
Don't touch me. I don't what you're doing.
In my face.
Don't touch me again.
Oh!
You're gonna get burned. You're gonna get burned.
You just burned me. What do you mean?
You just tried to grab it. You're gonna get burned again. I promise. I promise.
You're burning me on purpose.
Hey,
burning me on purpose.
Off.
You just
out of here. I don't care. Get your hand on my face. Get out of here, you crybaby little bitch.
Meg quit the show because Jimmy scared her. TJ said at times that although Jimmy could be triggered into quitting, he was afraid to be the one to make Jimmy blow up, and admitted he was afraid of Jimmy during the polygraph. Trisha was very intent on making moves when he wasn't in the room because she was afraid of him. This fear would be the mark of a very effective loudmouth strategy if Jimmy had more control over it, which he doesn't. He sabotaged his own team during the triathlon and eventually his place in the game with his lack of self-control.
Don't you ever fucking do that shit again!
To close out on loudmouths, it's a strategy that might have blown up in Jimmy's face, but he has a lot of uncanny similarities to Evil Dick, and Dick did win Big Brother. It can be a very good play if it's controlled and channeled. I would hate for the audience to look at a loudmouth on Fishtank and assume they can't win because Fishtank tests stress and they seem to play on the very edge of losing it.
Hey, we did it!
Are you sure he won't mind?
Louis doesn't care about anything. He's a nihilist.
Oh, that must be exhausting.
Floaters, to the untrained eye, look like collaborators or coasters. A floater joins alliances or declines all alliances with the goal of appearing to be a non-threat, while the more active players eliminate one another. This part is sometimes escalated into what is considered the snake strategy of manipulating other house guests into eliminating one another. Although you will likely hear from many contestants at once that the floater is their greatest ally in the game, the floater's only real loyalty is to themselves.
How to be the ultimate floater.
The last thing you want is the target being put on your back.
You have to make everyone in the house your ultimate BFF.
Lie as much as you possibly can. Tell every person in that house everything they want to hear. If someone says, you and me in the final two, yep. If someone says, you want to evict this person, yep.
Most importantly, to be the best floater in Big Brother, you have to not really actually align yourself with anyone.
Well, I'm gonna disagree with that actually. You need to align yourself with one person, and that person is yourself.
At the end of the day, there's only one winner of Big Brother.
Yeah. And why not align yourself with the winner?
Vance is the only true floater so far. He liked to say, I'm surfing, or I'm letting the dogs eat each other, or I'm letting the big personalities take each other out.
Believe what John said? Can you believe what Letty said? Oh man, that's crazy. I can't believe they did that.
As everyone's BFF, they're gonna tell you their secrets. And so what you need to do to be effective is hold on to these secrets until the right moment, and you can use these secrets against them. I've always had a huge crush on McCrae.
Good guy alert. Meanwhile, I come back in here and I keep surfing. I just keep surfing.
Letty, we were just talking to Vance about Daniel's voice acting in the nut check.
He formed an alliance with Damiel, Sylvia, and Josie called Team Evil, which was, for the first 20 days, just a cover for his true goal of taking Damiel all the way to the end of the show. I don't know why. Don't ask me. I'm pretty sure he must have known Damiel wasn't allowed to get to the end, but whatever. On top of his alliance with Damiel, he formed a fake alliance with John to get his trust. He also formed another contradicting alliance with Letty, one the viewers sometimes called the Snake Pit, because it was transparently built on deception from both himself and Letty. That being said, he still leaked information to Letty, offered her emotional support, and repeatedly spared her harassment, so it was more like a real alliance at times than his collaboration with Damiel was.
Well, I know that I can't trust you, because you were telling me, oh yeah, I'll talk to Damiel, and you're my #1 ally, blah, blah, blah.
I did talk to him.
Yeah, but you told him that I was telling you to talk to him to try and get him out. Like, he said that.
No, I wasn't. No, what I said was,
Vance even formed another fake alliance called Evil Gang with Morrow and Letty the day after Sylvia was eliminated, with the supposed purpose of eliminating Josie. Letty and Vance both agreed that Josie's popularity with the audience would make her too hard to beat, and they both claimed they were not each other's biggest threats.
Okay, so then, actually, I don't know if I should say this.
Say it.
I was going to say, if we want to be the final two.
Yeah, we do. Because I know I only stand a chance against you. I know you only stand a chance against me.
What do you mean you couldn't beat Josie?
No, you can't. Because she's fucking Miss Universe. Like, everybody loves her.
But you think she's better, like, in challenges?
Yeah.
Than everyone?
Probably. I mean, like, if it's a popularity vote, like, she's gonna win. And if it's, you know, if it's a combination of anything, popularity or challenge, she's gonna win. If it's just challenge, maybe I would. But, like...
She's still really good at challenges.
I know. She has, like, a ton of fish bugs.
Yeah, she's really funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Yeah.
Then our next move should be to focus on the floaters. Also, to get Josie out.
Yeah.
For both of their strategies, Evil Gang would have been a smart decision. The very next evening, however, Vance made it abundantly clear that he'd decided to try and bring Josie into the finale for moral reasons, said the viewers wouldn't want Letty in the final two, and thus believed neither he nor Josie had to try anymore, and backed up Frank dumping shit water on her head because it was karma. It was a major break from his floater strategy, which requires him to focus solely on his, wait for it, linear path to victory. After saying he and Josie wouldn't need to try, he almost immediately received a warning from Sam that Letty's position in the finale was secure already. Whether it was a gaslight or not, it was a warning he should have taken seriously.
There's no way that the final two is going to be you and Josie, because that would be the most boring thing ever. Mm-hmm.
His refusal to even consider floating and remaining agile between the two contestants may have informed Letty's decision to put a dumbbell on his leg 2 days later. No matter how the situation changed, he stayed loyal to Josie, constantly saying that he would be okay losing to her and that there were too many things he was not willing to do to her in order to win, and it fucked him.
But it is true that people really hate me out there.
Yeah, it's kind of deserved.
I make them mad. I make them real mad. You couldn't make them mad because you're too boring. You can't get a rise out of people. You can't get a reaction out of people.
You're not in Canada.
Sorry that I'm like a nice guy, like a genuine guy.
You're not genuine at all. Your whole strategy is being fake.
What is fake? What is fake about it?
You're not even part of the challenge. Fuck off.
I'll talk some more about floaters later on, but I do want to emphasize that at least in Big Brother and Survivor, floating and snaking is typically considered the overpowered strategy. Vance was smart for using it, and he's the only genre-aware contestant so far who actually went with something that was supposed to work.
Like I said, the cloud dissipates. I'm not saying shit. They just come to me. I can't believe it. Can you believe she did this and they did that? No, I can't. Wow, what a loser. What an asshole. What a bitch.
He started to give up on trying to actively snake because TTS was reporting it when he lied to contestants about not being in other alliances. But I think in future seasons, if the basement is more careful about snitching, it would be less underpowered.
Anyway, I gotta get up close and personal with you. Yeah.
Hey.
Hey.
What are you doing?
I'm getting up close and personal.
I ain't gonna sign in again. I said remember me.
The more I watch y'all, the more I begin to hate y'all.
The indignities, they never cease.
That's okay, because do you really need anyone else?
Then they say that I gamer
The most oppressed group of all, gamers.
is to be disabled.
Gamer is a stupid name for the strategy I find to be the most entertaining to watch, which is itself the point of the strategy. You know, you're looking at a gamer when they say quotes like, "I've done the most, I've been the most entertaining. No one else is playing the game. I would do anything to win."
It's the name of the game.
Or I've gone through the most of anyone.
I don't think that Josie deserves the money because I don't think she could handle everything that I've been through. The type of environment that I've been in, I think that Josie would have cracked a long time ago. She doesn't have the guts to stand up for her opinion. She won't stand up for people in a fight. She can't defend herself in a fight. Because she'll just say nothing. She admitted herself that she would say nothing. She wouldn't even defend herself or her own opinions. She just keeps her head down. And that's been her whole strategy in this game, has been keeping her head down. And that's why she's coasted along this far. People haven't targeted her the way that they've targeted me because I actually fight back. And Josie would never have the gall to do that. She's coasted along this whole time, and now she's here. She hasn't been entertaining. She thinks the only way I can be entertaining is listening to TTS because she has no ideas of her own on how to be entertaining, and that's how she would do it. And I think that's why she doesn't deserve the money. She hasn't worked hard here. She hasn't worked nearly as hard as me to be able to get the money.
The goal of the gamer is to impress on the other contestants and the audience that they are playing the game well and deserve to win, while others do not.
Floaters, you better grab a life vest.
Within Big Brother, it's nearly impossible to win as a leader because there's such massive targets to be voted out, but the gamer faces a similar uphill battle because they also play conspicuously. Since Fishtank doesn't have voting, though, gamers don't have to worry about that. Because the rules in Fishtank can be flexible, gamers will test boundaries that other reality show contestants would be afraid to, and will expand their strategy to include every possible tactic, including moves other contestants would refuse for ethical reasons. They may work with other fish, but do not depend on having allies or see them as necessary. They're distinct from collaborators because they can't be said to be hiding inside their alliances, and will often take point for their team or serve as a distraction or figurehead to protect their teammates in exchange for attention from the audience. Within Fishtank, I think a well-executed gamer strategy needs to cover two split bases. A gamer needs to have showy victories and challenges to mog other fish, and needs to be entertaining to the audience so that their skill isn't boring to watch.
You missed.
I did.
They're like pro wrestlers trying to get over on the other contestants. It's not enough to simply be the most competitive. Rather, it's like filling out a checklist. Go through a lot of bullshit, be watchable, win a lot, in order to make that argument Letty made as convincingly as possible. I'll start with Season 2, which had 3 gamers, 2 of which had strategies that split along those lines of mogging and entertainment, and then move into Season 1, where those bases were covered synergistically. I wanted to cover JC quickly because, as best as could be determined in a handful of days, she was a gamer. One of the telltale signs of a gamer strategist, even if you are having trouble following how strategies are moving along during the show, is that very often other contestants will point at the gamers and say, "That person is a threat." So much of the gamer strategy is casting an enormous shadow, and JC was getting call-outs like that left and right. Jimmy and Brian often highlighted that she was completely dispassionate and ruthless about fucking over Cole and stealing from the other fish, and that she would likely be as capable in other challenges. While Cole was infatuated with her, he also saw her potential too. She frequently put down other contestants for not being on her level, and clearly had an extreme level of confidence in her short-term game. Unfortunately, she had no long-term game and fully intended to be out of the house before her classes resumed, so we'll never know how she would have fared if she didn't quit. Taylor was the most obvious gamer of Season 2. She definitely started the season trying to be a floater, but TJ offered her nothing as an ally, and Brian's alliance was not a safe shelter for her. so she read more like a coaster or like she was trying to remain completely under the radar. By the time Nifty arrived, she could probably tell being quiet was putting a target on her back. Nifty being around, in fact, drove her out of her Josie-esque crochet sessions and gave her someone to target during a span of weeks where the contestants were hunting fish for being boring. Using Nifty, she could show the other contestants that she was capable of a direct, flamboyant aggression that some were refusing to participate in without targeting any of them. During the cell, I think she may have noticed for the first time that she had durability that none of the other contestants had, and began to move much more openly and adopt a strategy of being extremely competitive. Bold, deliberate plays, like ripping apart her own plushie as a warning to Trish and Brittany, throwing piss and vomit at Frank, nailing Fatty into the crawl space, shaving her head to demonstrate that Trish would not, wiping out TJ's Chris points, trying relentlessly to eliminate Fatty.
Really hasn't going to leave. Really?
And taking all of TJ's chips are showy victories intended to intimidate and suppress contestants who can't follow in her footsteps, even going back to when she thought her underwear had been stolen. The initial reason she brought it up was obviously because she was offended, but in the aftermath she also added that her response was a prison tactic. She needed the other fish to know she wasn't to be messed with. I think Tay was very good at challenges, but not unbeatable. Still, the intimidating shadow she cast over her two timid opponents made them treat her like she was cheating or overpowered, even though she was not. As the game moved through the finale, the curse of the gamer finally came out. Using curses, TJ and Shinji were effectively voting out the gamer for being too good, like housemates always do in Big Brother. Not that Tay would have won anyway if curses didn't exist, but you can see how mogging becomes a double-edged sword once voting is in play. Where she was lacking, usually, was the other side of the gamer coin, entertainment. She said, "I'm not here to make content. I'm here to win." Her hyper-competitiveness wasn't broken up with levity, and that can read as villainous on camera, even though she wasn't actually immoral or villainous, really. Just very focused. She was the gamer strategy minus entertainment, and it's that second pillar of the strategy which Jimmy was overly focused on. Entertainment is an exploitable resource on Fishtank. I'm making assumptions about production when I say this, but this is absolutely true in other reality shows. Like I said when I was talking about Dick Donato, production on Big Brother and pretty much every other reality show has been known to tacitly reward being entertaining. Big Brother actually streams its cameras live to the internet like Fishtank does, but a tiny fraction of the footage on their live feeds is watchable, and the rest is people sleeping and doing nothing. Fishtank, in contrast, is always on, and driving content is extremely important almost every waking hour. Exploiting entertainment as a resource is part of how the gamer operates. It's not everything, but it's one of the outside-the-box tools at the gamer's disposal. For lack of examples of loudmouths, I already reviewed Jimmy there, and it's the strategy he was better at. But for the sake of explaining my point here, we'll dive into the strategy he was actually claiming to be using when he called the other fish weaker hearts and said they would quit before he would.
Come on to your game. You leave me out of it. You go for the weaker hearts. I'm all for some extra people leaving to buy us some grace period.
I see you.
But obviously keep in mind, I'm not going to be the easy target here.
Jimmy was the opposite of Taylor, the gamer strategy minus mogging.
Use clean for now.
Trish, you left me out here to get raped.
I know his sense of humor was contentious. I'm not going to try and argue it myself. I'll just quote production. Sam said they couldn't lose Jimmy too early because he drives content.
The thing about Jimmy is that he drives a lot of content. Yeah. And if we get rid of him prematurely, I think that's a mistake.
Okay, that's fair.
Jet said Jimmy was funny, and that most of the best bits of the show were Jimmy's.
Yeah, I think Jimmy was great here.
Personally, I thought he was great.
He's so funny. He was the best.
I mean, all of the best bits were like Jimmy bits. The doll activity.
Yeah.
The employer shit.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite moments on the show were when Jimmy was
Most of them.
Yeah.
I personally found him funny. Some people hated him. I don't think YouTube poops are funny.
Green penis.
Some people think Saturday.Live is funny. I'm not judging this shit. The point is, there was a span of time when Jimmy was the only person driving content, to where Sam went around the entire room of fish and said Jimmy was the only one who was interesting.
Raise your hand if you think you're interesting. You can put that down. Put that down. Put that down. You can put that down. Okay. Does anybody with their hand not up feel bad about what's going on?
Yeah.
Do you feel like maybe you sunk 20 days into something that you're not going to get money for and you're going to leave here empty-handed? It's going to be fucked?
Yeah.
Does it feel good?
No.
But at least you'll get the girl.
I don't know about that.
Ah, shucks. Well, guys, I got bad news for you, okay? Charleston, you put your hand down. Charleston's coming to pick one of you to kick off tonight. You put your hand down, Shinji. You're not interesting, though. This is the Be Interesting show. The audience is evaluating you based on how interesting you are, not how much you can work together and be faggots all day. And Jimmy, you get a special exception because you're unable to follow rules. You don't even remember what the code words are that your friend sent you. You're here to create interest. I'll let you do whatever.
The point is, there was a span of time when Jimmy was the only person driving content, to where Sam went around the entire room of fish and said Jimmy was the only one who was interesting. In total isolation, that would be gamer checkmate. If he abruptly reached total zen and never broke the rules again, and no one else filled the content void, it would lock him into the finale. That's how that endgame works. This might be where you say, Jimmy cheated in his strategy to be funny by bringing in notes. So check this out. This is Vance's blue notebook, where he wrote pre-planned bits and came up with new ones, like the idea to be addicted to glue, and many others. Maybe it's something psychological about people in this strategy category, but Taylor also prepared some bits she wanted to use.
I came in with my own bits that I just never talked about, thinking that there was going to be a TV. I had a USB with me, and on this flash drive, it was 5 minutes of Garfield the movie, the beginning of Garfield, and then it turns into Triumph of the Will. The entirety of Triumph of the Will. So I was thinking if there was going to be a scenario where we were bored and we didn't have anything to do, and I could have been like, hey guys, you want to watch Garfield? And it's Triumph of the Will. I had that planned. I wanted to prank everybody with that. I also had, and I should have brought them upstairs with me, but I didn't, and I just didn't. My mind was way too scattered. But I had these fake blood capsules that you put in your mouth and you bite into. I had those in my suitcase with me. I also had like a little, it's like you like put it on a wall and it chirps like a cricket. And then they brought in real crickets, so I had more secret plans than Jimmy. I had more secret plans and I had it with me too. That's the funniest part.
In 2 seasons, the pre-planned bits have fallen flat, but more than anything, they signified a willingness to brainstorm and play to the audience. Keeping on with the Vance comparison, it does strangely tick the audience off to watch contestants get fucked with and act unbothered or refuse to return fire. Even though Vance was aware people were getting tired of watching him not react, there wasn't anything he could do to fix that. He wasn't going to pretend to freak out. I don't need to reiterate that reactivity was Jimmy's downfall. But it's funnier to watch him get mad and fire back on fish in production than it is to watch Vance stand in the corner of a room stroking his shit. Comparing Jimmy to Taylor, he wasn't remarkably good at challenges. A full-fledged gamer would need to be much more dominant. He struggled to control himself when challenges were painful or exhausting, and his concentration was easily broken. His rather narrow strengths would probably have been more at home in Season 1, where acting and being funny and extroverted featured in a huge majority of the challenges and in almost every elimination. But without mogging, a high entertainment gamer is just a loud target. Of course, we can't talk about gamers without talking about Letty. Letty is the consummate gamer and might set the standard for the strategy for a long time. It took her a little while to express it, but from the moment she shook John's baby, she was demonstrating a willingness to take the game to places other fish would not dare, and that even Sam didn't seem to be expecting. She quickly gained a reputation as a so-called cheater and a threat among the other contestants. Throughout every following challenge, she was often the first or only one to find a way to sabotage, cheat, or at least think outside the rules. In the day-to-day of the tank, she was often the only one contributing to the hell of the hell house. This kind of behavior shell-shocked the other fish. She may as well have been wall hacking, and Vance in particular was someone who considered these moves off-limits or immoral. She would often point out that she was playing the game and that, as someone with essentially no allies, she was only doing what made sense for her, but it made her a major threat to the others. As I demonstrated with Taylor and Jimmy, mogging is not everything. The other half is entertainment. This is where Letty Hassel also did well. To be a good heel, or to intimidate through entertainment, is a psychological weapon that brings down all competitors.
You said all my stuff? You said if I took your stuff, you would punch me, but like I took your stuff and you're not like punching me, so.
Taylor, applying her gamer strategy, made her come across like a stoic badass casting a big shadow. Letty's take on it was a provocative but lighthearted and funny villain who mocked the others without bringing down the mood. Letty Hassel was an entire arc of the show, where she finally recognized that the other contestants were not her friends and that she was able to push the other fish in ways they refused to push back. As I described in Shadow Points, Jet alluded to the possibility that Letty's adoption of the villain role and the entertainment she provided reserved her place in the final two. When Jet announced the second part of the elimination challenge was to be a menace, Letty did everything short of sing a Disney villain song to celebrate how easy the challenge was for her. She's not a loudmouth for it. None of the fish found her intimidating or scary. It's more accurate to say she was a gamer. She gladly used every tool in the bag, even the ones the other fish got squeamish at.
Well, Vance has this thing he does where he collects all the trash off the kitchen island and he comes and he throws it in here.
Oh, well, I'm gonna do that to him now.
Just take a couple things. Take something that maybe stinks or is gross and just like put it under like between his like mattress and the bed frame.
What about toilet paper with poop on it?
Yeah, do that. What you do is you take the paper towel, you take the toilet paper and you ball it up and you put it in this pillowcase.
That's so bad. He's gonna get pink eye.
No, he's not gonna get sick.
But I would hate if someone did that to me. But he's been putting trash in here.
He's been putting trash in here and laughing at you every time somebody makes fun of you. Don't have any sympathy.
Being a gamer also involves selling hits, as I said before. Letty's mood was initially easily stomped in the first 18 days or so, which made her seem like a bad bet.
And like today it's just been like all the time. Like this guy like comes in, he's like instantly like calling me like a cunt. And like everyone's just like laughing at it.
But by the end, she had the word cunt written on the wall of her room in 5-foot-tall letters.
Oh, cunt.
And would smile whenever Jet and Ben came up to scream at or dump things on her. As I said before, this is hard to do deliberately, but showing a decreasing fear of being fucked with plays very well for the audience. In summary, Letty's execution of the gamer strategy shows why it's such a threat compared to how unsafe it is in Big Brother. She was dominant in challenges and quick to discover which rules she was allowed to break to keep herself on top. She gained favor by driving content and escalated the hell house so that the other fish couldn't play on her level and to build an argument that she deserved to win. Given social strategy in Fish Tank becomes a little irrelevant once only 2 contestants are left. She failed by winning fewer challenges than Josie, not because of her social strategy. If it's still hard to wrap your head around what the gamer strategy is about, think of a fish getting ahead by playing like Roger Rabbit.
Hold still, will ya?
Does this help?
Yeah, thanks. Do you mean to tell me that you could have taken your hand out of that cuff at any time?
No, not at any time. Only when it was funny.
Now that I've covered all the contestants, let's talk about actually winning the game. Unfortunately, social strategy so far has just been the vehicle that gets fish to the last day. In isolation, challenge aptitude, and the challenge itself matter way, way more than social strategy. Social strategy and challenge aptitude are completely different, and social strategy has not been a determinant for the final two, in the way that it matters in other reality shows. In both Big Brother and Survivor, the final victory is decided by a vote of the eliminated contestants, called the jury.
Woo, when I look at your game, I can't help but make this comparison between your strategic play and the behavior of a dog. I mean, Tony was like your master. When he said sit, you sat. Tony, I don't need to ask you any questions. I need to talk to you all. Love him or hate him, Tony played his ass off out here. Wu tries to excuse his passive play on not having idols and Tony finding 3 idols. Why do you think Tony found 3 idols? It's because he looked more than everyone else combined. Tony was behind every great strategic decision, like a puppet master. He took a slew of goats deep, put some on the jury. Tony played with a ferocity this game very rarely does see. And so when you put pen to parchment tonight, vote for the only guy sitting there that actually played this game and played it in a way that honors it.
Josie would have won a jury vote in Season 1 by a landslide. If Season 2 were determined by jury, like in Survivor, then Jimmy, Brian, Taylor, and Summer would have voted for Shinji, and Trish and Cole would have voted for TJ. I'm not sure where JC or Meg would have landed, but both JC and Shinji are Asian, so... Obviously, I'm not advocating for ripping off Survivor or Big Brother in this regard, but you see what I mean about how the game would be very different throughout if the contestants had to worry about how many people they had pissed off along the way. Probably not good. Kinda better Fishtank doesn't do it this way. Instead, because the finale has come down to physical challenges for the most part, the winner in both seasons has been the taller and more athletic of the 2 finalists, which isn't particularly satisfying because it feels stupid to travel through a game of emotional, mental, and physical endurance and come to a conclusion based on who's a little stronger. I'm not sure how I would resolve that, though. I liked the cell finale because it proved that both Josie and Letty had conquered the core challenges of the tank because of the lengths they were willing to go to. I guess rather than do boxing again, future seasons should continue to iterate on the cell, or endurance and mental challenges like it. Otherwise, and maybe this is funny or maybe it isn't, but the only people that should try to win the show would be kinda athletic people, and anyone who finds themselves in the final 3 against people they can't beat in arm wrestling should walk out. Maybe that's funny, maybe it's funny fat people can't win the show. It is a little funny. I'm just being autistic and thinking of balance. During the first season of Big Brother, the audience directly voted on who won, but the producers changed this immediately and never gave the audience that power again, after they realized that the viewers would be a bunch of silly billies about it and vote like they were voting for class president. A popularity contest decides the winner within the first week based on looks and personality, and barring any Cole situations, the following month becomes a waste of everyone's time. I know a lot of people like to say Fishtank should be a popularity contest. When I hear logic like, well, Josie was nice and she cleaned a lot, so she really deserved it, I want to...
Oh, where that came from. Someone hung up. Careful.
And I know popularity has mattered so far, that's clear. But social strategy, as I've just wasted over an hour of your time explaining, is the reason the audience watches these shows, even if they're too highly regarded, to follow the conscious and subconscious chess involved in it. Challenges and social strategy are what stop this from being American Idol Fishtank, or Fishtank's Got Talent, or whatever. If the only thing that mattered is which friendly face has the nicest personality and fans with the biggest pockets, they might as well make the show a week long and let Frank kick his feet up. There's plenty of lessons, good and bad, for Fishtank to learn from other reality shows, but the biggest complaint Big Brother's modern fans have is that the contestants have learned to stop playing the game. Being a leader, a floater, a gamer, or a loudmouth no longer pays off because Big Brother is watching, and the final jury will only award the prize to those who are quiet, nice, and coast.
So at the end of the day, is he a master manipulator, or did he just have an alliance with everybody and eventually something was gonna...
Like, there are other people in the house that tried that theory and it did not work. So the fact that it worked for him means that he is a master manipulator, because none of them blew up in his face.
But he stabbed his friends in the back.
Is there anything wrong with outright manipulation, lying, pulling on your heartstrings? Is that allowed here?
I said I would lie, cheat, steal, and kill to win this game. So I respect his game a lot.
And they say that a hero can save us.
Fishtank.Live was originally called Fucking Hell House. If we're going to talk about arcs and themes, then what's thematic for Fishtank is blood in the water. The winning fish should be those who swim in the tank, not those who coast.